Hello, folks. Nice to see you here. Steve.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you. Let's hope we have some more attendance today. Not just we'll see about that.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah, it does. I had a chat with Andrea earlier this morning or today, so I hope he will join as well.
Right.
How
What
are
have
things?
you I was gonna ask you. Things have been good. I'm working on delivering a workshop on identifying value streams that I'm gonna be running tomorrow.
Oh.
And so I kind of split my time between the Value Stream Management Consortium and my own consulting. And so I've got a couple clients that I'm running right now, and then doing work for the VSMC, trying to help build out material for them so that the kind of members have a lot of information that is kind of missing right now. Like there's not a lot of information out around value stream management and software. So that's kind of the idea. How about yourself?
Yeah, just came back from KubeCon last week. So it was a full week of discussions and presentations and meetings in Amsterdam. Haven't really sorted out my mind what the outcome was yet. I planned to do that during the weekend, but I had other things I needed to attend, so I couldn't. So, but it was great at least to meet people there, meet some people face to face as well. That's always good.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to a conference, actually. It's been probably since this time last year. Conference season last year. I don't think I've been to a conference yet, but I've got a bunch lined up.
I see, yeah. I'm just doing some final updates on the agenda, sorry. Let's see what I should do here. Should I do this as well? I will still share my screen as well. So let me see. Andrea, do you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, perfect. Thank you. So I should be sharing my screen now. I hope you see it. I'll just bring out the attendee this time. Sorry. Not friends with GUI yet. Sorry. Okay, I actually saw that another participant in the SIG joined this meeting an hour ago, and then he left, so he must have mistaken the time. Adam Kenyon, if we will join, we will see him later, I guess. But I don't think we should wait for him. So let's get started. Today is April 24th, and please sign in on the document.
Is there a session for the 28th? Because I don't see one on the calendar.
The 28th? No.
Or is that what we shifted to today? The 24th.
The 28th of April, you mean this Friday?
Yeah, see that on the meeting notes, we've got future presentations / meetings.
It says 28th, sorry. It should be 24th.
Okay, good. So today I'm running through the VSMI. Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. No.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you for noticing. Yeah. Also, this was something I wrote during our last TOC meeting where you also were there. And obviously I wrote the wrong date. So it is today. It's now.
Perfect. All right.
So I hope we can have that discussion now to kick off our joint work group. So let's just first sign in ourselves. I sign in myself so you know how to do it. If you don't, I will add it later afterwards as well.
I'm signed in, but I don't know if I have editing rights. Let me see.
I see you there. You should have editing rights. If you press the editing button, I'm not sure if you use TackMD,
Oh,
but
there you go. That's why.
Yeah.
Yes.
if you just see the read-only view, then you cannot write. You need to
Right.
check the edit view. Okay, so no action items from last meetings as far as I know. Just some short updates from other groups, or I'm not sure how short it will be, but anyway, from the CDF Events work group where we work on the actual event protocol, we are now looking forward to the next release, which is 03, planned for the end of this month, which ends in a week. And the focus there will be of declaring signed artifacts through events and also improvements of test events. So there are two different pull requests for these two initiatives, which we hope to merge soon. And once those are merged, we can also create a release for them. That's what I intended to say about the CDF Events updates. Then from the TOC, you were both there on the last meeting, so it's not too much. Oh, this is old news, sorry. About the top SIG sponsors, I didn't remove this. Maybe we should refresh this now. I think, is it so, Andrea, that Tracy was elected sponsor for SIG Events, or was she just volunteering and then nothing happened, or do you know the status there? Because
Question,
I remember that Tracy nominated herself really to it. But I don't think
did she?
Yeah, but there was no answer, I think, on that nomination from her.
Okay, let me follow up on that.
Yeah, I think you should. This is the mail I got. That was actually to you and then the TOC. So Tracy said that she could take events as a sponsor.
Okay.
But it needs to be followed. I'm not sure. Is that to be decided on the TOC meeting? Then we could maybe decide on it tomorrow. On the TOC.
Yes.
It can be decided outside the meetings. I'm not sure of the process there.
I don't think we have a very very specific process. Usually, well, we created a SIG, so we had this case before, just someone volunteer, and it was okay. That's about it. So yeah, that's good that she volunteered for sponsor. So, yeah. I mean, I guess as a SIG, we can of course share our opinion whether we are happy for her to be our sponsor.
Yeah, should we? Do you think we can just approve her being our sponsor, or?
I mean, it's perfectly fine for me.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her to be a sponsor.
Yeah, I guess the mail there was sent to you as a chair of the TOC and the TOC as a CC, so it wasn't really sent to the SIG Events group. So no one else in the SIG Events might have seen that she volunteered. But I guess anyway, since we happen to be here in this meeting and we are on the top, we saw that mail. Yeah. But let's just state it tomorrow on the TOC as well, so it's formal, right?
Okay.
Then the TOC will additionally request that each of the SIGs in CDF should have this information provided to the TOC. That's a new requirement that hasn't been implemented really yet, but it was discussed in TOC lately. So we should probably adhere to this if we manage to somehow. Yeah, I don't know if we should have any action on that now. The roadmap there will in some sense be affected by the discussion later on about the VSM integration or joint work there. But the rest is outside that mostly, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you have any comments, Andrea? Do you think should this be pushed for, or is it okay that we stand by a bit, or?
No, I think we can have some discussion we planned for today, and then we can. But I think it would be good to spend one session at some point, like making some planning of what we want to achieve as activities for the year, for the upcoming months, at least, so that we don't lose like focus direction there. Yeah, I think we have had like a varying level of activities on the various special interest groups. So I think it's good for the TOC community overall, including the SIGs, to have a view about what we're planning to do, and yeah, to make sure that we focus our resources.
I think this might need some preparation. It might not be too valuable to just start talking about it now. So we propose that we postpone this discussion to the next SIG meeting, and I can try to prepare something before that. We'll see where we go with it then.
Sounds good.
Good. And then we have also an opportunity to have representatives from each of the projects in CDF on the TOC. Those elections, or those the elections will start on May 9th. And so far, I think that the actual election process there and how it will work is not carved in stone yet. There is still some ongoing discussions on exactly how this should be done. But anyway, we can promote someone from CDF Events to be our representative on the TOC. Then all projects on CDF, we have 9 projects today. There are not 9 seats in the talk for projects, so it's only 4 seats. So there will be an algorithm to calculate what project should have what seat and so on, or some kind of election. So anyway, but we should at least promote someone from the SIG events. Sorry, no, not the SIG events, but for the CD events project, to take on such a seat if it will be available for us. I'm not sure if we can postpone that as well for the next one, or maybe it's better to have that on Slack, because since we are so few people here now, it's not really valuable to elect someone on this meeting itself, I think. But we should have a comment. No, so I think instead. Okay, Andrea, go on.
No, I just wanted to say yes. Sounds good.
Okay, yeah. So I think I can put a message on our Slack channel there to see who would like to volunteer for it, or maybe send a mail even to see who would like to volunteer to be our candidate on the TOC from the project. So I can do that as well. I will do that. Then this is old news from the outreach committee. I'm not sure if this needs to be kept here. Yeah, we should eventually have some information here. This was discussed last week, and that's why last time, but that's why it's still here. I'm not sure if there has been any meeting since then. No, it hasn't. This was in March. Are you on those meetings, Andrea? Yeah, you were there last time, at least. Is there another meeting coming up, or do you know?
Yes. The only problem I've got with those meetings is a permanent conflict or recurring conflict with at least half of the meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you think we should do about this? Should we? Is there a topics? No. Okay. Is this where we should propose to present city events, or do you remember?
So I think there is already something in the list of potential topic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so the number 5, interoperability city events, but these are just like ideas. I think that there is a process that has been defined on kind of how it will work exactly. So I think there will be need for a sponsor for a certain topic, and well, a certain process basically to make sure that the workshop can be implemented. So yeah.
But are we expected to take some action on this, you think, or should we wait for? Who is it? Is it Garima who drives this, or who drives this? Now I'm confused. I think the outreach committee, is that Garima?
No, it's not. No. Garima is from the ambassador. So the outreach committee is Lori, but the CDF workshop itself, I think it has its own leads. I think they're Thomas and Veronica, I think possibly as well. I think that the lead is Thomas, but I don't remember his surname by heart.
But do you think he will reach out to us then, or should we volunteer somehow, or what do you think is the next step on this? Should we just sit back and wait, or should we be proactive and do something here?
Right. So I think it's up to us really how if any of us thinks that we have bandwidth or interest in working on this, and we think we want to promote or want workshop in this area, we can do. But right now, I think it's personally, I'm following the initial meeting, see what the process will be shaping to be like. But yeah. Oh yeah, Thomas Schutz is the lead.
Okay. I mean, we have so many initiatives and so much work with too few people, I think, right now. So I don't think that we really have the bandwidth to be involved in this unless we are really asked to help out at the moment. But yeah,
I agree. So
of course,
the next meeting,
but
sorry, Emil, go ahead.
No, I guess of course we would not like to miss the opportunity to spread the word about CD events. If we should be there, then of course we might need to prioritize it anyway. But yeah, you said the next meeting is it planned, or?
The next meeting is going to be on Wednesday.
Oh.
At least it's what's in the calendar, and then May the 10th. I'll try to keep joining the meetings, or at least following what's going on if I'm not able to join the meeting. But yeah, so if there is interest in doing something about interoperability and CD events, I think it would be good for someone from us to be involved, as we have some experience already building VOCs with CD events. And yeah, but as you said, it's I don't think we would have the bandwidth to drive this initiative from our side right now.
Yeah. Is this okay then, or did I misinterpret your statement there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. And that's all from other groups in the CDF that concerns us that I am aware of. Does anyone else? Then I guess it's Andrea. If you have anything else you think we should bring to the agenda here or bring up to discussion. Anything you have in mind?
Well,
Otherwise,
we met with the CNCF TAC app delivery.
Yeah,
folks
right.
there at KubeCon. So maybe that's something mentioned, worth mentioning, that we plan to attend their upcoming meeting. Yeah,
was it next week? Where was it?
yes, it's on May the 3rd.
Yeah. Maybe I should say Andrea and there. I don't think anyone else from the SIG events will join there, if I remember now. At least as the meeting invite looks right now. It's mostly us. Yeah. So yeah, good.
Well, anyone is welcome to join, of course. It's a public meeting.
Yeah, I can maybe write it as well. Okay, I have the invite there. Yeah, but that's good. So the calendar item is there. And if they want a proper invite, I can forward it, the one that Fatih sent us. Good. Yeah, that's a good comment. Should we then go on to the main topic for today, since Steve is here? And I see Tracy join as well. Hi, Tracy. Welcome.
Hi, Tracy.
Hear us. Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Sorry?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Sorry I'm late and I have another meeting at 9:30, but I just wanted to touch base about CDCon.
Oh, yeah.
And I did everything I could do on the white paper. I'm not sure if Fatih is moving forward with getting that done. Andrea, maybe if you could follow up with him. And then I wanted to let everybody know that I did send an invite out to some of the folks that Fatih suggested to attend the CD Events Project Summit, as well as they're going to put it on the main schedule. And I've asked them to list it in the press release, but I don't know if that will happen. But anyway, we should have some visibility with regards to our events summit. And I was hoping to get as many projects in there as possible.
Great, thanks, Tracy. Yeah,
absolutely.
hopefully, hopefully as many as possible we show up so we can have some chat about city events.
Yeah, that would be the goal, is to know that we had introduced what we were up to. And, I really would like us to push to get version 1 out as soon as we can. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I feel like it's time that we do a proper, we're getting some eyes, so it'd be good to do a proper release of it.
You mean a 1.0 of the CD events protocol itself, or?
I think we have aren't we like versioning the vocabulary? If we could get a kind of a proper, say this is the first cut, it would be good.
So the version 0.1, so the initial version, we did cut it, and we recently made 0.2, and we're planning for 0.3 before CDCon.
Awesome. Okay.
But yeah, so we definitely want to have like a more stable release eventually, and what we were discussing with during KubeCon is that it would be great to see some adoption and get some feedback from the folks that were working on CD events and thinking of adopting and thinking of like Fidelity, for instance, we're going to implement it, and others hopefully. And as soon as we get some feedback from adopters, I think we'll be in a better position to change the release numbering from like a 0. something to a 1.0, if it makes sense.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. And that gives, the CDF from the Linux perspective, they need more press release information, and they need more activity. So I think that that will be when we get it to 1.0, I think that will be an exciting point that the Fatih can do can run with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's been, Fatih has been quite good and collaborative in helping us being in the press release until now. So.
Well, I've been pushing them to make it a primary goal for the CDF, and so now they're starting to do it. now I feel like we need to start really delivering some regular news about it. I'm watching some of the other bigger projects, and they have a lot of news coming out constantly, especially like at the OpenSSF around Alpha, Omega, and SIG Store. They could be at a very, kind of have an MVP out there, and they're pushing it really hard. So I think that in the future, we should start thinking about getting that press out and pushing it, even if we feel that it's not quite there, it's okay to go ahead and move forward. And on that, I have to jump because I have like my Ortelius calls. So I just had a bunch of calls lined up today. So next time I will be here on time and not interrupt the meeting like this. But thank you for listening.
Thanks for joining, Tracy.
Hey,
thanks.
Good to see you, Tracy.
Bye.
Right.
Yeah, I don't note anything there about the more versioning. Should we have some more action on that now then, or push for it? I think at the moment we can't really afford to do much more than we actually do, I think. And from my perspective, we're quite far from a 1.0 version from which we should not have any non-backwards compatible changes going forward. I think that will require quite an extensive review from expected end users and such, so that we are really using the correct names for things and the structure is good and so on. At least that's from my perspective. So from my perspective, I don't have that strong drive to push for 1.0 yet. That's just my
no, I agree. It's something in the future, as I think I will say, we need to get some adoption, but I think it's good that we have like proper releases now, and but hopefully we are getting in a position to also streamline the release of the SDKs to be closer to to the spec as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but about the white paper, so we don't drop that ball. I think the last mail in that chain, maybe, or at least in one of the discussions, was on one I wrote on that the issues are not yet solved completely. So we have this one where it was discussed if we should have a new link to the POC implementation, but that's not, and we're close, I guess, to be done. So, but what is your thought on the white paper, Andrea? Do you think we can have some updates to it done?
Yeah, I think there is a strict limit time-wise in terms
We
of
might
getting
discuss
doing
it, okay.
update. But I think what we discussed with Fatih at KubeCon, it was that at least we should make sure that links are up to date. So yeah, I'll try to follow up on that with Fatih today.
Will you
I
follow
don't
up with
know.
that? Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, but I don't think that there will be an opportunity really to do much more than we have done until now, I think. So in my understanding, Tracy provided some updates already, to include the incident events as well. But yeah, I'll follow up on that.
All right, URLs, we don't confuse it with the connected events initiative with links.
Yeah.
Good, thanks. So now let's move on. We have passed half the hour. And now, since you're here, Steve, we should have some getting started on our joint initiative there on VSMI and the interoperability. So I copied some information from our last talk meeting where you both were as well. We have the proposed charter. That's maybe something we could look into now if we should improve this in some way, or what we should do about that. We have already met, I mean, and greeted. So that's already done between us three at least. And of course we should have some common understanding on how should our joint meetings be planned for the future. I think we discussed on the TOC that we could have this as like a sub work group in the SIG events. We could initially maybe have it as one recurring item on our SIG events meeting, this meeting now every 2 weeks. But if we see the need for it, we could break it up to a separate meeting if we have the bandwidth to plan another meeting. Have you spent any thinking about this, Steve, since the TOC meeting there, and do you have any more ideas on the way forward for us?
Yeah, so I think what would be valuable for today would be, I can present, I don't think I've shared a deck that describes the reference architecture from our perspective and where we can think about an overlap and collaboration with CD events. And I think that might be valuable to frame all of this, because I think there is still a possibility of, you folks saying that, oh, this doesn't match, or this isn't really valuable for us to invest time in, and we want to make sure that we get that out of the way early, or we kind of modify scope or our approach accordingly based on your feedback. So I have a deck that I could step through if that sounds valuable, and then I think that should inform everything else that we're talking about, like meeting cadence, structure, kind of cooperating model, and the charter as well. I saw that Andrea, you added the column for the CD events aspect of the charter, which is very valuable. I just noticed that this morning, but I'll review that, and I noticed that there were comments, so I'll make sure that I catch up on that if after this event or after this meeting. But I can take you folks through the reference architecture presentation that we have, if that sounds valuable.
Of course, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I've got a
yeah.
There we go. I should be all set. Okay. So essentially just a really quick establishment of terms. Where we see an opportunity right now is that there's a gap, and there's considerable investment and progress in, I think, the current domain of CD events and the CDF in general, in that delivery has got a lot of attention, and even kind of operations has got a lot of attention, but management and kind of visibility, measurement at the scope that we're interested in value stream management is kind of lagged behind. So we kind of group CI/CD pipelines and a lot of current efforts under this idea of value stream delivery platforms, and that's kind of terminology that I think was floated by Gartner initially a couple of years ago, and so we kind of follow that to a degree as a frame of reference. So there's kind of delivery and management, where delivery is very relevant to, let's say, team lead and individual contributor, and management valuable from like team lead and above, right, across the organization. And where we see potential here is kind of this idea of managing multiple pipelines within value streams, meaning, and we don't have this illustration at the moment, but I think you folks are familiar with, the fact that you've got code pipelines, data pipelines, multiple different collections of interconnected pipelines and workflows, and value streams kind of wrap that all up into a single flow, delivering either a product or a feature on a consistent basis. And all of these being interconnected, and the complexity rising. So there's challenges in kind of management that are arising at these more sophisticated organizations, or maybe just larger organizations, and the challenge is that they're not necessarily as sophisticated as they need to be. So we have limited workflow visibility that's kind of wrapped up in individual systems like Jira and let's say task management systems primarily, and meaning that we have limited ability to understand what happens when work is being done, whether the work is effective or there's opportunities for improvement. And it's very challenging to adopt the solutions that exist in the market currently. Oh, I woke up Siri. Okay. It's very difficult to adopt the current platforms that are available on the market, because the source data is typically low quality. In Jira, things don't get tagged properly. People don't manage tasks effectively. Things stay open for months, even though the things have been delivered. You folks are all familiar with that. So what we're looking to do is gather data from multiple tools across a value stream and attribute all that data to an end-to-end workflow that begins at the initiation of an effort and ends with the delivery of that effort to customers, and not only the delivery to production, but the actual effect of that delivery, right? So was that a positive or negative change? Did it result in customer value by metrics that we define inside of our organization. So either usage goes up, or we retain a customer that we were at risk of losing. There's all kinds of things that you can kind of connect to this idea of value realization. And I'm trying to pay attention to hands. So if you want to throw a hand up, it's totally fine, or interrupt. There's only a few of us, so you can just speak if you want. We would like to be able to enable leadership in an organization to see not only just a single value stream, but how the organization is performing as a network of value streams that are interconnected and interdependent, and the connection between the efforts and the effects of all of those value streams, including things like customer experience, and ideally, let's say, contributor experience as well. Actually, I would say that that's valuable enough to be specific. We want a single source of data for workflow, which I think is maybe a different dimension than CD Events is currently pursuing, but I'll reiterate that later. And then understand sort of how this data can be used to manage the organization and ensure a specific level of quality. And this hopefully over the long term feeds things like artificial intelligence insights, or let's say machine learning to be more specific, on what possible effects of changing workflow and changing the system have on this performance. And right now, we would like to more directly connect value stream delivery platforms to value stream management platforms, so that it becomes easier over time to say that, okay, we're doing a specific thing that's enabled by this system, or we've improved the capability of the system. And so we're realizing that benefit in the management system over some time horizon, right? Some of these things, I mean, many of these things don't happen overnight. But hopefully we'd be able to see that when we turn a dial, meaning, we add somebody to the team, or we've split teams, and we're actually seeing a benefit of those actions on what ultimately matters to the business. So in terms of value stream management, what we care about is everything all the way from the initial population of a portfolio or backlog, like the first instance of something to do, and ideally as a hypothesis, all the way to analysis of that hypothesis. Did we end up where we expected? Are we realizing the value that we expected? Is there something that we've learned along the way? And it kind of includes a lot of these things that exist inside of the CDF ecosystem, but perhaps a little bit broader and a difference of focus. So some of the things that we think classify this domain are entities, functional components, metrics, and perhaps events. Like I think events actually feeds directly into this to understand what is behind the metrics, right? It's very difficult to get accurate or useful metrics without parsing events. So the events that we would be most concerned with in our context are workflow events, things that people are doing, tasks that are being performed, handoffs, and that sort of thing. So
sorry.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
When you say metrics there, that's to me some calculated data from other sources, which could be events, for example.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's no one-to-one relationship between metrics and events, I think.
Right.
So it's a higher level abstraction of something, a higher level object of that data, which could come from events.
Exactly. So then I suppose that events would be accurately classified as a subset of metrics, because metrics could be due to any number of things.
Yeah, I'm not sure if all use cases for events are actually in the metrics bounded context to me.
Oh, you're right.
We were
Well,
talking- yeah, sorry.
no, I think you're right. You know, events can be based, they could be compliance relevant, they could be attributed to anything you want to observe in the system, correct?
Yeah. So I mean, entities. I mean, if you would, for example, when, as we call artifacts, when something is built, a new version of the software is built and put on the shelf, then that's also informed by an event, which is probably not meant for a metric, but meant to declare that now we have a new version of this entity.
Okay, well that's
So
great.
by that, it's its own beast, I think, in this list maybe, but it relates to the other ones in some way.
That makes a lot of sense.
You could still build metrics from that event, I think, though, even if it's not originally crafted for metrics. Like if you think of like DORA metrics that rely on information about artifact being published and so forth. So I think, but yeah.
So the same event could be used both for calculating metrics, but also to declare that now we have a new entity of this software.
Yes, I think so. The only caveat there is, I'm not sure how different the data model would be for the two use cases. Or I imagine, I mean, my feeling is that there is a good amount of overlap at least. So you should
wait. Overlap between
the data model that you would need in an event for for building a metric or for workflow control or so.
Okay, yeah, I agree. So in the entity aspect of this, what we're primarily focused on in value stream management is work items. So we're thinking of different classifications of efforts, essentially epic stories, tasks, distribution of work items. So in flow framework, there is 4 categories of efforts. There's they have a risk as well, debt and defects, but primarily, most folks are concerned with feature delivery. But that classification allows you to see the mix over time and understand, okay, we've overinvested in features and we're seeing little payback of technical debt, and that is manifesting itself through a trend in a downward trend in productivity, for instance, or an upward trend in incidents. The systems of work. So we have producers, which could be things like version control systems producing events. We could have work management systems like Jira, and then different artifacts within that workflow and contributors. This is just a high level so far, so there's quite a bit that could be included here, but
about the defects there, how would you define a defect? Do you think that's a bug in some issue tracker system, or is it because we created the incident events, and the incidents, as we call them now in CD events, are not really bugs yet, I would say. I mean, an incident
they're just reactions to issues.
When something happens. Now, it's rather something happens in the system. It's an incident. Something has happened. We don't know yet if it might result in a bug later on, or it must result in that you restart a server or something, but it's still an incident in the system. For that, do you think that's like an incident? Is that a work item in this case, or do you think that's something else?
It's interesting. I would say that would apply. because it kind of arises in the system of work as an incident to be addressed.
So it's not
And-
something you take action on, of course, yeah. Or something or someone needs to take action on it.
Right. I mean, it kind of follows the same workflow as a lot of these things, just with a different level of urgency and a lower degree of definition, right? Something has happened. We got to figure it out. We've got to get it solved. Maybe we have to get it solved immediately, but at least we need to triage it immediately, right? We need to understand, okay, well, this is not a big deal. Let's put it in the backlog, or it's like all hands on deck. And we've been through the VSMC. We kind of consider incident management to be a value stream. So it's like the practice of managing incidents would be something performed by a stable team, much like a product team, hopefully within the product team itself. But sometimes this goes beyond the scope of a product team. So I would see incidents as a natural inclusion in that, because it certainly wouldn't fit in these other areas that we've defined. So functional components, there's quite a bit here, but this is essentially like a catalog of systems that could be producing data or repositories of data to consume in order to understand the value stream from a management perspective. So we have everything from product portfolio to service desk. Increasingly, we have things like value management systems where it's a repository for product portfolio planning. But in the context of we expect to get this return on investment from this effort. We want to track the results of that hypothesis upon realization in production with real users, and that could be long term. Metrics. So the metrics, there's quite a bit of metrics that we care about in the context of value stream management, but this is a selection. This is fairly extensive. These are kind of the generic terms, and then more specific industry terms that have caught on in popularity. So things like flow velocity are really talking about throughput. We talk about lead time. There's various different definitions. I think the DORA definition of lead time is very narrow, and it's really talking about commit to production. But our definition of lead time is kind of lean defined, which is everything from initiation all the way to delivery to customer. Any questions on these so far? This is kind of driven largely by Gartner's analysis of what they throw into the context of a value stream. So there are technical, product, and business metrics that kind of all factor in here. And we have, I think, a little bit of variation or expansion there, but these are the sort of things that we think expand scope beyond your typical CI/CD process or continuous delivery context. Another way to look at this is there's quite a bit in kind of general business metrics that fall under the umbrella of value stream metrics, because value streams are very tightly correlated to business performance in a holistic context. So we would also be looking to consume over the long term. We're not going to be factoring in cash flow anytime soon. I don't know if anybody actually captures cash flow in the context of individual efforts and connecting the dots, but that this kind of sets the stage for the long-term promise of this type of effort, where you can connect, we did this thing and here's the ultimate result, that in the context of the business and stakeholders and shareholders and customers and everybody involved, all the way down to, the costs of each of those contributing factors. There are some existing efforts in this space. So we're actually leveraging the work inside of IT for IT, which is provided by the Open Group. This is another body that's kind of in the value stream management sense in the space, but primarily in the context of IT. So not the broadest domain. It does consider things like financial management, and it's fairly broad, and they've done some good work on identifying functional components and entities that, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we're borrowing quite a bit from what they've done, and we have some of their contributors involved in the VSMI effort so far. So they're helping us kind of borrow what makes sense here and integrate it into the VSMI effort. SAFE is kind of a powerhouse in this industry, like it or not, and they include some of this scope in what they talk about. We obviously want to provide something that they work in concert with instead of work against, so that we don't have to undo everything that SAFE does, and talk about how we're different from what they're proposing. So hopefully something they can leverage and just say that the VSMI has defined value stream management, interoperability in these ways, and hopefully provide a valuable resource to the most popular efforts in this domain. So this is what I've parsed from CD Events so far. This is very limited, but this is from pulling from GitHub and what I've seen so far. So the stages that you folks talk about, the architecture, steps in relation to those stages, and the difference that we see is primarily this expansion of scope. So we go all the way upstream to initial planning, hopefully capturing what was defining the reason why a specific effort is happening. And then this extension beyond operation to what is the ultimate outcome of this effort? What are we doing as a result? Are we investing further? Are we going to change our approach? Are we processing feedback? So I've got 2 minutes left and I've got to jump to another meeting.
Yeah.
But in summary, what I've got here is that, we think that we've got a broader scope. We've got to focus on workflow, and a different level of detail. So expanding into value estimation and realization, but we can pick it up from there. We don't really have a lot more here. I'll share this deck with you folks just so you can step through it. But this is sort of what we've got so far.
Yeah, it's great. So it's good to see the similarities, and obviously, as you say, that the scope for this work that you have there is much broader than CD Events that it currently focuses on, and I would doubt that CD Events will ever go to such a broad scope.
Mm-hmm.
But I do still think that we can have a good CD Events could be reused in this complete world as well in some way. And I saw also in the picture on slide 13 there that you showed that circle. You had one of the outer circles on that slide was the continuous planning and design, deployment pipeline, and continuous monitoring. I think that's a bit more the terms that are used maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But so there are different terms and different nomenclatures, but there's a lot of overlap. So I think this is a good initiative that we can continue working on. So for the next meeting, are you able to come in 2 weeks? Maybe that's when CDCon is, by the way. So that we can discuss on Slack when we should meet next to continue this.
Yeah, if that doesn't work for your schedule, you can definitely we can talk about a next meeting to dive a little bit deeper. But it sounds, I'm very happy to hear that you folks see an opportunity here, and look forward to the next conversation.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's keep the contact going on Slack. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank
for the
you.
presentation today.
Apologies, I got to run, but and I
Thank
probably
you.
took more time than you were expecting, but I appreciate this.
We started late as well. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.